Hi everyone, Ray here with another Awakening short, and this one is a warning. And the sense of forewarned is forearmed, just to get you ready, not for presenting any kind of fearful thing, but just to give you advance notice so that you can be ready for something that is eventually going to happen to you if you are seriously on the spiritual path and not just a dilettante or a dabbler. And that is that as you make progress on the spiritual path, your ego is going to be feeling more and more threatened. And at some point, it is going to feel so threatened that it's going to fight back in an effort at self preservation. And you have to understand that the ego is an aspect of your own consciousness that you created. And you created it to maintain the belief in the illusion of separation. And when the ego feels really threatened, it's going to it's going to fight back in an obvious way. It's not going to be worried anymore about pretending to be your friend. It's not going to be sabotaging your spiritual efforts by diverting you or getting you distracted, or even sabotaging your relationships with people that are close in your life, which is your own self-sabotage, and which creates chaos and havoc in your life and slows down your progress and helps the ego maintain. When none of that works anymore, when all of that stops working, your ego is going to start overtly instead of covertly opposing you. And this can take some pretty frightening forms. The Buddha, for example, the Buddha found himself in battle with Mara and her hordes of demons. Jesus, of course, was tempted by the devil himself in the desert. You remember, this is an aspect of consciousness, and it's a portion of your own psyche. And since there's only one of us here, the individual ego, your individual ego, is one with the collective ego of the human race, going back millennia. So there's a lot of power to this. When the ego no longer cares about appearing to be your friend, it manifests as the death urge, which is Eckhart Tolle. Leonard Orr called it the death urge. Eckhart Tolle called it the pain body. Eckhart Tolle said that the pain body is the shadow side, or the dark shadow of your ego. I have always said that it is the ego when your ego no longer cares about pretending to be your friend. This death urge, or pain body, or dark side of the ego, is what the occultists called the dweller on the threshold. The dweller on the threshold was seen as a horrible creature that prevented you from taking your next initiation. The threshold being the threshold of the doorway that you would step through, as it were, to move to the next higher level of your spiritual path. And it was taught that you had to successfully overcome the dweller on the threshold in order to make progress, and that when you did, the dweller on the threshold would become the angel of the presence. when I face the dweller on the threshold or my death urge, um, it, it so I want to keep these short. And I'm wondering, like, I had thought that when I first started these, I had said that they're going to be like 6 or 7 minutes, maybe 10 minutes long. And they've been getting to like 20 minutes. And and I could break them up into smaller talks. But then I wonder how, if it's not better to keep them 20 minutes and get all the points in relative to one thing rather than breaking it up. So give me a comment below if you're finding these 20-minute ones too long. So let me all right, so I'm just going to try to quickly wrap this one up. Let's try to keep it at least at no more than 10 minutes. So I was doing a process for healing the death urge, and at a certain point, my death urge assumed physical form and actually physically attacked me, and it trashed my room. And at first, I was just physically fighting. I was being physically attacked, so I was defending myself. I was trying to push it away from me, but I was not winning. And eventually, I remembered something that I had read in a book by Annalise Guerin, and I realized that the death urge was a projection of my own consciousness that I had created for certain reasons. And I realized that fighting it wasn't the way to go, that love was the way to go. And I thanked my death urge for doing what I wanted it to do, for being of service to me. And I forgave it unconditionally, because in forgiving your death urge unconditionally, you're forgiving yourself for all the negative aspects of self that you have been maintaining for millions of years. And I gave my death urge love, at which point the totally evil, horrible, malicious expression on its face turned into a smile of unconditional love. It started to glow. It filled the room with light, and the light eventually faded out. So that was the dweller on the threshold transforming into the angel of the presence. So the warning is, if you stay on the spiritual path in a serious way long enough, eventually you're going to be confronted with this egoic response, this death urge response, this dweller on the threshold. And if you get into 3D materialistic density, right against wrong, fighting with it, conflict with it, that's just more of this. That's egoic consciousness. You can't defeat egoic consciousness with egoic consciousness. In fact, you can't. The word defeat is wrong. So you don't want that. So the warning is, all right. So the warning is, don't be frightened when this happens, and it will eventually happen. Everybody faces it. And it will take different forms, and that's probably dependent on your, how you were raised, your particular psychological development, the cultural milieu. Maybe you're going to see Lucifer in the desert tempting you. Maybe you're going to see Maya and a horde of demons. Maybe you'll see your death urge, which can appear as a demon. It happened to Martin Luther. It happened to the Desert Fathers. It happens to the Buddha. So don't think. So when it happens, okay, don't be scared, right? Don't panic, and try to see past the illusion of hatred and malice and threat to the underlying love beneath it. And remember that it is an aspect of your own consciousness, and it consists of things that you have judged to be wrong, that you have suppressed. It consists of all of your negative beliefs about life and yourself and God and existence collected into one psychic entity. And dealing with it means finding within yourself the space for loving all that you have rejected, realizing that none of it was real, that all of it is a part of Source, and that you are a part of Source. So this is easier said than done. You're probably not really going to understand this until you're in the situation, and that's really just my hope. When this comes up for you, you won't, because you heard me say this, even if it was 20 years ago, you won't panic, you won't freak out, and you'll remember that fighting and conflict with the dweller on the threshold isn't going to work, and you go for the unconditional love route instead. And hopefully at the time that it happens for you, this little 10-minute talk will help you. Okay, so I think I'm going to end it there. Thank you all for listening. And like I said, let me know in the comments below, do you want these like 7 minutes long, and then you have to listen to a recording every single day to get the whole point? Or should I try to keep it like 20 minutes long with all of the points? Because there's more to say about the death urge and the dweller on the threshold, and how this is all an aspect of consciousness. But I could keep going, and then this would be a longer talk. So I'm trying to figure out. Would like you guys to let me know what works for you. All right, love you all, and see you soon. Bye.